I'm back so soon. Welcome, everyone, tonight, and to all of you out there joining us from across the country. My name's Casey Bell. I'm here to tell y'all some comedy tonight. I'm just kidding. I've been a staff member at the Society for going on 9 months since January 2022. I work for the fundraising support team. Do we have any fundraisers in the audience? All right. Well, good news is I'm that person you call when your donations aren't showing up right on your fundraising page. That's me. So here's what I love about working for the Society. I get to solve problems, big and small, every single day. I get to help make the MS Society a more welcoming, embracing, and more inclusive place to work by helping to lead the Society Pride, our LGBTQ+ employee resource group, and of course the people. Getting to work with all of you, people who are passionate about finding a cure and ending MS for good. You all have me hooked, because ending MS is personal for me. So 5 years ago, I was officially diagnosed with MS while being seen for a car accident here in Dallas, of course. I was having strange, numbing, vibrating sensations in my arms, hands, legs, at sporadic moments, and experienced a heightened sensitivity to heat at that time. When I followed up with my neurologist who was seeing me for the accident, my MRI was ordered. My results came back. I had a huge paragraph of abnormalities that were the culprit to my discomfort. So the verdict, of course, was grand old multiple sclerosis, and I was referred to a specialist. The initial diagnosis didn't shock me too much because my mother also lives with MS, and I was introduced to it at a young age. Did I expect to follow in my mother's medical footsteps? No, of course not. But having an introduction to MS during my childhood, along with helping to care for someone who also lives with MS, definitely softened the blow. So thank you for everything that you do to move our mission forward. It really means the world to me. And as you'll hear in a moment, we really have so much to be proud of.
We are a movement by and for people affected by multiple sclerosis.
Until we end this disease forever, we will do whatever it takes
to accelerate breakthroughs.
We believe that we are stronger together.
That nobody should face MS alone.
We will be by your side every step of your journey.
From day one.
We'll be your partner through the challenges.
Sharing ideas and finding solutions.
We believe
that people live better lives
when they are understood and supported.
It's hard to hear.
But you look so good.
When you feel anything but.
Or to feel like MS is the only thing people see.
We will be there for your loved ones so they can be there for you. We'll shine a light on what it means to live with MS.
Till the rest of the world understands.
We believe that everyone deserves affordable medications.
A doctor who knows MS.
And a healthcare system that puts you first.
You should never have to choose
between paying your bills
and getting the care you need.
We will make sure your voice is heard loud
and
clear.
We'll be your champion
from the halls of Congress
to City Hall.
We believe that you should be able to plan for the next 10 years.
Even the next 10 minutes.
Without MS getting in the way.
Complex problems take many solutions.
Coming together in just the right way.
We'll be there to help you piece it all together.
We'll work every day
so you can get what you want from life.
Even while living with this disease.
We believe that no one else should have to face the fear
and uncertainty
of an MS diagnosis.
And that those that have MS,
Should get back what they've lost.
curing this disease takes a global effort.
We will fund the most
Promising leads
And gather the brightest minds
To find a cure
as fast as possible.
will be unrelenting.
until the very
The end.
We believe
We believe
that we all have something to contribute.
Whether it's time,
Money
connections.
or sheer passion.
There is strength
in numbers.
We're calling on you to join us.
join us.
Join us.
find your place in this movement.
We need you. We need you.
We need you.
Together, we will create a world free of MS.
Well, hello everyone. That video does not get old. I love that video. And whether you're tuning in virtually or you're here with us live tonight, welcome. It's so good to be with you. I'm Cindy Zaghi-Boilo, President and CEO of Your National MS Society. What does a cure mean to you? What would it look like in your life and the lives of the people you love? A cure looks different for everyone. And we have charted a course for how we're going to achieve cures for everyone through the Pathways to MS Cures roadmap. This initiative is our biggest, most collaborative global MS research effort of our time, and you'll hear about it more tomorrow. Whatever a cure looks like for you, I think we can all agree that a cure would mean the world. A cure would mean everything. And that's why we're here, to cure MS for every person with this disease, to make sure we can get that cure into people's lives and to make sure that people have what they need to live well today, right now. There is no one better equipped to make this happen than you. Every single person in our movement is powering progress. The strength of the MS movement knows no bounds, and our accomplishments are evidence of that. Together, we're making sure that no one has to face MS alone. When MS enters your life, you need to get connected to information, resources, and people. Not just people who have expertise in MS, but people who can help solve problems and be by your side on the bad days. I'm sure every person with MS can remember who you called after getting diagnosed and how you felt in that moment. Connections are everything. Just a couple of months ago, we held the very first Hispanic Latinx MS Experience Summit, an important connection for this community to share their experience with MS and learn from each other and MS experts. One attendee, Tatiana, had immigrated from Brazil with her family just 4 months earlier. They came to the U.S. to escape growing violence and the increasing cost of education for their daughters. But Tatiana, who has MS, didn't have insurance when she arrived in the U.S. and had a limited supply of MS medication. The low-cost medical care program she turned to didn't have any specialists. And the appointment with the one affordable neurologist she'd found was months away. On the day of the Hispanic Latinx Summit, Tatiana's situation weighed heavily on her mind. So she shared her story during a group discussion. After she spoke, another participant, who happened to be a physician, came on screen to say he had already emailed a colleague who specializes in MS, asking him to see her. Tatiana found her community. Just a few weeks later, she met with that doctor and an MS neurologist. And during the free consult, they spent 3 hours going over her medical history and helping her enroll in a clinical trial for an approved medication. And they promised to stay in touch going forward. That one connection, an act of kindness, changed everything for her. Every year, more than 8 million people connect with the National MS Society, about 400,000 people for the first time. Whether it was visiting our website, attending a virtual program, connecting with an MS navigator, or getting involved, people with MS are getting connected to the information they need to move their lives forward. And with a complex disease like MS, information is power. That couldn't have been more true than when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. At the onset of COVID-19, we moved swiftly to connect people with MS to the best information. We gathered experts to make sense of the research and get people answered. And we launched a brand new weekly online program to get that information out as quickly as possible. Many leaders across our movement rallied together to lead us through this crisis. And I want to take a moment to call out the Society's National Medical Advisory Committee and its chair, Dr. Nancy Sykott. Very early on, Dr. Sykott could see the unique challenges that lay ahead for people with MS, and she and the committee sprang into action. They were at the forefront, helping the MS community navigate through information and polarized opinions. Dr. Sykott and the committee helped create straightforward recommendations on vaccines and leveraged their influence to ensure their recommendations were consistent across the globe. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Dr. Nancy Sykott to the stage.
Thank you, Cindy. It's really wonderful to be here and to be with everyone, and thank you for that great introduction.
Well, Dr. Sykott, you were a key player in our COVID-19 response, and you carried the weighty responsibility of guiding people with MS through a time of uncertainty and fear. That's a lot of pressure. Tell us what that experience was like for you and what got you through it.
Well, have you heard that phrase, the best of times and the worst of times? Clearly, the pandemic was not the best of times, but it brings out the best in people. And I think we saw that in our vaccine task force and some lessons learned. And I'm appreciative for the opportunity to acknowledge the group that I work with and all the great work that they did and the society did. But, you know, how did we make it through? When I look back, I think I'm echoing some of the same things that other people have said about the MS Society. There are insights and lessons as we look to the future. And the first is that the investments that the Society has made really delivered dividends during this time. So we had key resources already in place, and that takes foresight. We had the digital presence of the website that was already recognized as a reliable source of information that was evidence-based and that you could trust and that the MS community would turn to. Secondly, we've heard about relationships and how important those are, and that was really critical not only to our sanity, but to our success, because it was so important for us to harmonize the information that we were providing and the advice, and to speak with one voice during this time when there was so much misinformation that was out in the world and confusing for our patients. So we were able to do that because of the deep connections that the Society has, not only here in the United States, but across the globe. And so given the trust and the respect that already existed, we were able to all quickly come together with a unified message. And I think these are really key lessons for the future, because resources and relationships will be as important as ever. So I just want to thank all of you here, all of you online, for the support that you've given to the society. It's delivering dividends as we speak. And I want to thank Cindy and her leadership team, because with their guidance, we have a key to everything we'll need going forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. We are raising our voices to make life with MS better, for today and tomorrow. To be an MS activist is to be persistent, relentless. Because when it comes to advocating for change, sometimes you take a dozen losses, maybe even 100, before you get one win. And we work hard to get as many opportunities as we can to make our voices heard, to have a seat at the table, an audience with the decision makers, and every once in a while, we get a really big opportunity. This past March, our Vice President of Advocacy, Stephanie Stern, was invited to testify before the U.S. Senate Finance Committee about the urgent need to lower drug prices for people who rely on Medicare. This invitation in and of itself was a win. Stephanie was selected to tell the MS story about high prescription drug prices because we are known on Capitol Hill because of MS activists, 40,000 strong. Many of you are among them, who share your stories and raise the voices of the people affected by MS. Now, there was a lot going on back in March, important issues in the news that day. But if there's one thing MS activists know, it's persistence, making our voices heard. We just speak louder. We don't back down, and we don't give up.
Chairman Wyden, Ranking Member Crapo, and members of this committee, my name is Stephanie Stern, and I'm the Vice President of Advocacy for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. I joined the society as a staff member 7 years ago, but I've been part of the MS community since I was a year old in 1981 when my mom was diagnosed with MS. While we now have effective treatments, people with MS and their families, like my parents, struggle with their price. My parents moved to a smaller house, replaced their cars with less expensive options, and have cut every possible corner to make ends meet. My dad is 69 years old, and he has his own health challenges, and he has had to get a job driving a city bus in town just to pay the bills. Lori Lee from Oregon changed her MS medication twice after joining Medicare because the price would have bankrupted her and her husband. Therese Humphrey Ball in Indiana was forced to change DMTs after her costs soared to $6,000 a month. But the next DMT she went on didn't work for Therese. Her MS progressed, bringing lingering cognitive issues among other problems. And Bob Miller in Minnesota made the difficult decision to stop taking his MS drug altogether because he didn't want to financially devastate his family, even though he has Medicare. These kinds of choices are terrifying for people with MS. Any gap in their medication could mean disease progression, and that could mean a permanent loss of mobility or cognitive function. More than 20 MS DMTs have transformed the treatment of MS over the last 29 years. Or more accurately, they have transformed the treatment for those who can afford it. That first medication my mom took in the mid-1990s was priced at $11,000. Today, the price of that same DMT is over $111,000. The current system is not working in the best interest of people with MS and other chronic conditions. It is unconscionable that in 2022, people with MS and other health conditions who cannot pay for their medications would be in the same position my mom was in the 1980s with no treatment option.
So proud of her. The MS community was heard that day, loud and clear. This hearing was one of the countless other times MS activists have made their voices heard on the rising cost of MS medications and care. Since 2016, MS activists held more than 2,000 legislative meetings, sent more than 10,000 emails to Capitol Hill, and shared hundreds of videos and tweets and personal stories through op-eds, articles, testimony, and commercials. We never gave up. And after years of tireless work, we got a really big win. The passage of the Inflation Reduction Act includes meaningful provisions to lower the cost of prescription drugs and health insurance. This historic piece of legislation has your name written all over it because MS activists made this happen. You made this happen. Let's take that in just a moment just to let that all seep in. Welcome back, Casey. And I just want to congratulate you on your role at the Society and thank you for the very, very important work you do. I think people are going to be, who are here, who are fundraisers, are going to be hoping that you pick up the next time they call. You are coming up to your 1-year anniversary with the MS Society, of your MS Society career and are already on stage. That's awesome. So glad to have you on board.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Again, thank you, Cindy. I am learning so much at the Society, and I love my job. I love hearing about all the great progress that we've made, and like you said, it really does take everyone coming together and contributing in their own way to make this progress happen. In my role as a fundraising support specialist, I get to see firsthand what people are doing to move us forward. And let me tell you, people are putting in the work. This past year alone, 50,000 volunteers dedicated their time and their talents. More than 700,000 donors gave generously, and 380,000 event participants rolled up their sleeves and rallied their networks to raise more than $72 million. That is definitely something to be proud of. Let's take a moment to hear from one of the most amazing fundraisers who's tuning in virtually today. Marissa Castro, who lives with MS, participates in our very own Bike MS Valero Ride to the River. She is also the committee chair for the I Ride with MS program. Marissa is passionate about providing an accessible and fun experience for riders with MS. That includes securing recumbent bicycles and getting step stools donated so riders with MS can have more easily accessible support and gear vehicles. So that's very cool. So Marissa, tell us what makes you proud to be a part of the MS movement.
Thank you, Casey, for that introduction. I'm overwhelmed to be part of this conversation with everyone today. The MS Society fell into my lap when I didn't realize I needed it the most. I was newly diagnosed. Knew that I've always had a passion to help people, so when I learned about the programs and the events that the MS Society offers individuals with MS, I knew I had to help somehow. Being part of the I Ride with MS committee and the chairperson, I made it my goal to ensure that as every rider with MS gave their all, I wanted to make sure this bike ride gave the same in return. Making small improvements, like as you mentioned, the step stool being needed. That was from my own experience. I couldn't lift myself into the backseat of the support vehicle. I was tired and I was exhausted. And it occurred to me, like, why don't we have a step stool? So I wanted to make sure that it was going to be as inclusive as possible for all of us riding with MS. I have made that my goal. And every year I try and just improve one small thing, or even increase the number of I Ride with MS participants, even by one. So it's important to reflect on the things that we are most proud of in ourselves. And the time is now. The time is now to ask ourselves, what am I most proud of for today? What am I going to do for tomorrow? What goal am I going to set for myself in the future? This is a mindset that we need to be in every day to make sure that events like Bike MS are successful every year. This is the mindset that we need to be in to make sure that the MS movement continues to move forward. And this is the mindset that will make a difference for individuals living with MS.
Wow. Thank you, Marissa and Casey. We're so grateful for you, for everyone in this room together, and for everyone out there watching. The things you do, big and small, are moving us forward. Our destination is, and always has been, a world free of MS, a cure for every single person. We've had our sights set on a cure for over 75 years. It wasn't until 2018 we introduced the word cure into our strategic plan. We said that a criterion for our success would be to gain international consensus on pathways to cures. That was a big step. As we made progress on international consensus on a specific plan to cure MS, we made the bold move to insert cure into our mission statement in 2020. We will cure MS while empowering people affected by MS to live their best lives. That's our mission. The word cure is powerful. We don't take it lightly. To declare cure as part of our mission statement, it had to be within reach. We needed to be ready. A cure must be achievable. We needed a plan, which we now have. In March of 2022, the Pathways to MS Cures was published in the Multiple Sclerosis Journal. So we have a plan to cure MS, and we are leaders in a global effort focused on implementing that plan to uncover MS cures. We have never been better positioned to change the world as we know it profoundly for everyone affected by MS. We've never been more connected globally to get to MS cures faster. The MS community is powerful. Let's take a moment to hear from CNN's John King, winner of one of the MS Society's Volunteer Inspiration Awards, about the power of our community.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be with you to say hello and to say thank you in person. Election day in America is now election week in America, and getting out of D.C. just isn't possible right now. But I want to thank Cindy and everyone at the National MS Society for this special moment. And I would like to share this honor with those who, like me, have struggled at times with communicating the challenges we face, even to family and friends and close colleagues. It took 13 years in what I saw as a reckless debate about common sense COVID protections for me to talk publicly about my MS. The months since have been beyond inspiring. I fully respect and I fully understand those who might still be keeping a secret or sharing only a little about the depth of their challenge and struggles. But for those who are debating sharing more or speaking up, let me say the support and encouragement I have received from those who live our challenge and those who understand our challenge has been overwhelming and overwhelmingly positive. Truly, truly a blessing. From the leaders of the MS Society to fellow MS warriors to total strangers who stop to wish me well and offer encouragement. MS, we all know, often leaves us lonely because we retreat to hide the struggle, to hide the disappointment at being unable to do things, often things that were once central to our lives and to our joy. There's no magic wand for those moments. I wish I had one. But there is us, people who share this experience and are ready, willing, eager to share advice or just sit with you in support. My parents taught me a long time ago, and my guess is most parents teach their children to learn the most when you fail, when we get knocked down. For those of us with MS, maybe I should edit that sentence to say, we learn the most when we fail or when our bodies fail us. One lesson for me is to be more patient with others, to be mindful that neighbor or a stranger moving slowly, keeping their distance, maybe acting in a way we see as unusual or out of character, well, that person might be struggling, even though their challenge is perhaps invisible to us at that moment. Another lesson might seem obvious, but our fear sometimes blinds us to the obvious. This lesson is the new blessing in my life. It is this, that there is strength in numbers and in connecting with others. It took me too long to officially join this fight, but I'm happy and I'm proud to be here now with you and in the supportive company of this wonderful, treasured community. Thank you.
John and all of you have helped us get us to where we are today. And all of you are going to get us to where we need to go. We can do this because we are powerful, especially when we band together. And the MS community is a force to be reckoned with. After all, we powered through a global pandemic, a catastrophic event that changed our world as we know it. In spite of every limitation thrown our way, we managed to grow and strengthen the MS movement. We do this work for everyone living with MS here and now, and those who love them. We do this for those who haven't yet been diagnosed. And we do this for all those who did not see a cure in their lifetime. Their memory and the legacy that they left behind pushes us forward. We are stronger than we've ever been because we have to be. MS has turned too many lives upside down, and we've had enough. We won't back down and we won't give up because a cure is on the line. Thank you, everybody.